This is the original podcast edition of The Guild of the Cowry Catchers by Abigail Hilton, now part of the complete Pirates of Wefrevane series. The books are available as audiobooks, ebooks, and paperbacks. This podcast originally aired from 2010 to 2014. Stick around after the story for commentary from me, the author, more than a decade later. The Guild of the Cowry Catchers, a novel of pirates and Panamindorah. Written and narrated by Abigail Hilton. Book 1. Embers. Warning: this novel was intended for people who shop in the grown-up section of the bookstore. It is not intended for children or young teens. If you need to ask whether you will be offended, you probably will. Episode 8.
Hi, I'm Liz Mirziewski from Rosengarten Media. Check out our website for humorous media from the geek point of view. We have video shorts, music, interviews, podcasts, and even a podiobook of my novella, Apparition, all at rosengartenmedia.com. Previously on the Cowry Catchers podcast, Thessaline predicts the coming of a serious storm. Morchella also comes to warn Gerard. She pulls him into a closet below decks and gives him a kiss before she leaves, making him feel guilty and uncomfortable. Silvio guesses what has happened when Gerard returns to the deck. He tells Gerard that Morchella's lovers have come to bad ends in the past, and that it is prudent to be liked, but not loved by their boss. Soon Gerard is too worried about the ship to think of Morchella. The Fang is driven before the storm for several days. Alcere finally reappears to tell them that they're near Holovaris and headed towards a solid line of reef. The only passage is marked with 2 buoys, which the Griffin fails to find amid the waves and rain. In desperation, Gerard demands that Alcere take him up to look for the buoys.
Chapter 22. A Local Guide.
The small kingdoms of Wefrevane survive by being too distant and too unimportant for the great islands to want them. Their rulers know this and keep a careful distance from greater island politics. Even the priestess often takes only a passing interest in the small kingdoms, allowing their own local deities to control events, meddling as much or as little as they wish. Gawain, The Truth About Wyverns.
Gerard thought for a moment that he and Alcere would die before they even started looking for the buoys. The wind punched them back and forth like an unseen fist. Gerard had been riding Alcere without a saddle harness for years, but in this weather they should have had one. Alcere flipped once in spite of his best efforts, but he managed to right himself before Gerard lost his grip. Below them the waves heaved like migrating mountains, lit by strobe lightning. Gerard caught sight of the ship Alcere had mentioned, a boat about half the size of the Fang, its hull almost upside down now. It was caught on the reef, only visible in the troughs of the waves. It was definitely a fresh wreck. Gerard doubted that any of it would be there by morning. The way the hull was appearing and disappearing gave Gerard an idea. He leaned close to Alcere's ear and bellowed,
"Get lower! Follow along in the troughs!"
Gerard had not been seasick in years, but their unsteady dive brought the bile into his mouth. Almost Alcere hit the water. He gained just enough height to escape the crest of the wave, and then they were flying along the trough. Gerard strained his eyes down the line of it.
There.
He saw the yellow-painted shape in a flash of lightning just before the waves swallowed it.
"I saw it!"
he shouted, and Alcere nodded. The wave passed, and Gerard spotted it again. This time he saw the other one, further along. Gerard looked back towards the Fang. They weren't too far off course. There was still time to get it right. Alcere screamed in his eagle's voice, a sound that cut through the storm and nearly deafened Gerard.
"Silvio, please know what that means."
He must have, because the next instant the ship began to turn. Gerard could see the sailors trimming the sail, angling towards the place where Alcere was circling over the waves. He watched as the ship came on, her tattered sail straining. Below, in the waves, Gerard thought he saw something flash beside the buoy, an iridescent streak that glimmered and was gone.
I'll be watching.
He shut his eyes and hung on to Alcere, shivering in the cold rain. The storm blew itself out by morning. Gerard went off to bed just as the light began to gleam across the water from under the clouds. He woke some time later to a strangely level cabin. Alcere was sleeping against one wall, and Thessaline had her head on his shoulder.
The way it should be.
He didn't move for a while, enjoying the peace and quiet. They were still in Silvio's cabin, and he could see light streaming from under the door to the inner office. At last, he got up quietly, without waking Thessaline. He threw on the driest of his clothes, damp and smelling faintly of mildew, and padded out the door into the inner office. Silvio was sitting on his map table, reading. He was wearing serviceable linen, in bizarre shades of orange and lavender. Gerard laughed. He stopped immediately when Silvio looked up, one eyebrow raised.
Something amuses you.
Gerard was thinking about the first time he'd walked in here and seen Silvio in ordinary sailcloth.
I just figured out why you dressed like that.
Silvio's eyebrows rose even higher, and he shut his book.
It's not complicated. I like shinies. As an added bonus, I get to make Shelts like you uncomfortable.
Gerard shook his head.
You never do anything for only one reason.
Well, that would be terribly inefficient.
Shelts who have never seen you before, never even seen a drawing. They all know what you look like. They at least know you dress like a...
Gerard decided to rephrase. Silvio smiled sweetly.
Like a what, Gerard?
Gerard tried not to squirm.
Flamboyantly.
Somehow I don't think that's what you were going to say.
What I mean is, when you decide to wear ordinary clothes, you're practically invisible. When you don't want to be recognized, all you need is sailcloth and no coal. It doesn't even matter that you're a rare Panon in an unusual color. Shelts don't see that. They only see the shinies.
Silvio smirked. He hopped down from the table.
Well, you're starting to think, but you're still mostly just pretty. I found 3 kids on griffins circling the ship this morning asking if we needed a local guide, but I've got one, don't I?
He pointed to the table.
I have 6 maps there, all of them significantly different. Pick the best one and meet me up on the quarterdeck after you've removed that creature from my bedchamber.
Thessaline?
Asked Gerard innocently. Silvio scowled.
You know what I mean. Keep it out of my sight, and I'll try not to shoot it.
Gerard sighed.
Would it matter if he apologized?
What do you think?
He saved the ship last night.
You saved the ship last night,
said Silvio, and stalked out the door. An 8th watch later, Gerard was standing with Silvio and Farrell on the quarterdeck, holding 3 maps.
Well, you're right that none of them are very good.
He told Silvio.
It depends on where you want to go, which you should use.
We need a port. We couldn't keep up with the leak last night, and all of the slaves drowned. We've got no rowers and not enough spars left to hold up a decent set of sails.
Gerard winced. Normally, he tried not to think about the slaves, because there was nothing he could do about them.
Did no one think of letting them out?
What, so they could kill us all? Besides, we were too busy trying to get over that reef. No one ever knew they were underwater until they were dead. I'll be happy to give you an oar if you want to do penance.
Gerard decided that it was too late to have this argument.
I suggest Malabar as a port.
He spread a vellum map in his hands and pointed to one spot.
This one shows the area of our location fairly accurately.
Silvio studied it.
Looks to me like we're just as close to Hollivaris as Malabar.
Perhaps.
Gerard had been hoping that Silvio wouldn't notice. Silvio grinned up at him.
You want to lie, but you just can't, can you?
I repeat, I think we should go to Malabar. I do not want to go to Hollivaris.
I know. That's probably why I do.
Gerard's tail lashed. He wanted to say a lot of things, and didn't know how to phrase them.
Silvio, please.
Silvio's pale eyes glittered through his kohl.
Oh, we are definitely going. Now stop looking wretched and make yourself useful. As long as that creature is here, you might as well use it to fly over to Malabar and get us some decent food. Everything in the hold is wet, and nearly all the jars are broken. I spent enough of my life eating bad food. I refuse to do it aboard my own ship. Be a good guide, Gerard, and go find us some local cuisine.
Chapter 23. A debate about choices.
Wyverns are poisonous. Curiously, first exposure causes only mild illness, while a second bite is nearly always fatal. A few old stories make reference to an antidote, but if such ever existed, its source has been carefully expunged from all records by the wyverns and their servants. Gawain, The Truth About Wyverns.
Gerard left a quarter watch later. He had been wanting some time alone with Alcere, and this seemed as good an opportunity as any. Before he left, he took stock of his meager followers. Apparently, the oldest of his wardens had been swept overboard in the storm. No one was sure how or when. 3 Shelts from the Fang had vanished, 2 of them experienced sailors, so the loss of his ancient warden was no surprise. But it did make Gerard feel guilty.
I should never have brought them. Silvio was right. I should retire them all.
The drunk was turning out to be a very unsatisfactory sailor, and the youngster was hurt so badly that he wouldn't be able to use his arm for a red month. Marlowe, on the other hand, appeared to be thriving. He had no experience on ships, but he had learned quickly, and he was amiable enough to make the sailors like him. Gerard intended to make him his permanent secretary as soon as he had anything worth keeping track of. Alcere said very little as they left the ship. He was wearing a light saddle harness that Gerard had made out of rope. As they passed the little knoll that was Malabar 3, Gerard told him to stop. Alcere circled reluctantly.
Why? There's nothing down there.
I want to talk to you. I don't want anyone else around, and I want to be able to look you in the face.
I shouldn't have done it. I won't do it again. Can we forget about it?
No. Please land.
Seagrass was whipping in the salt breeze. Fluffy clouds raced overhead. It was a day like Gerard remembered from his childhood, the kind of day he'd spent exploring these little islands with Alcere. Gerard got down and walked around in front of the Griffin.
Alcere, how could you?
Alcere met his eyes with a hint of defiance. He didn't look sorry, only sullen.
How could I catch a street brat? Easier than catching rabbits, actually.
Gerard couldn't believe what he was hearing.
He was a child, Alcere.
Things like that turn into things like him, Gerard.
Only when they have encounters with things like you!
Gerard fairly bellowed.
I wish I'd saved the tail.
Gerard cuffed his ear.
Are you even listening to me? I find your behavior horrific and unacceptable.
Well, I'm not an extension of you.
Shot Alcere. He was actually bristling now and nearly screaming.
I'm not bound by your honor, Gerard.
Gerard stepped back.
I should never have brought you from Holivars. I wonder if Father would take you back.
Silvio is still saying he intends to kill you, isn't he?
Snarled Alcere.
Has he retracted that threat? Tell me he has, Gerard, and I'll take back everything I just said. I'll apologize in public.
Gerard said nothing.
No, he hasn't. He's told you over and over again that he's going to stab you in the back. If you don't believe me, believe him. I have never scrupled to kill for you, Gerard, but I will not stand by and watch you die. Please?
His voice broke.
You're too trusting. You and Thessalan both. You think any Shelt can be made into a friend and ally. It's just not true.
Gerard shut his eyes.
Alcere.
I won't go back to Holivars. I belong with you, Gerard. I belong to you. Either forgive me or kill me. You'll never stop me from following you, and I won't stop trying to protect you.
Gerard could feel tears stinging his eyes. He pulled Alcere towards him and cradled the Griffin's head in his arms.
What am I going to do with you? I forgive you. I already forgave you. It's just...
He was not satisfied, but he didn't know what else to say. They stood like that for a long time, and Gerard thought of all the days he'd spent on these islands with this friend.
He and I were closer than Jalil and I ever could be.
At last he let go.
Will you trust me enough to let me make my own decisions? Unless you see me in actual physical danger?
I'll try.
They lay in the seagrass for a while and watched the clouds. Then they flew on to Malabar. Silvio had not overestimated the damage to the Fang. They were limping so badly that it took 3 days to make what should have been a half-day journey to Hollivaras. Thessaline sat on deck every evening and played her harp in the sweet, clear air, and they feasted on indigo duck and jackfruit and plum wine from the small kingdoms. Gerard could not tell what Thessaline thought about returning to a place where she'd lost a baby. She was quiet, and he did not press. Gerard wondered what would happen if Thessaline herself begged Silvio not to go to Hollivaras. He almost asked her to, but decided it wasn't his business. Silvio talked to Thessaline often during their meals and in the afternoons. If she wanted to ask him such a thing, she would do it on her own. Gerard didn't know whether Silvio and Farrell had had a fight or whether Silvio had just gotten bored, but he'd clearly taken up with one of the ship's boys. Gerard came in on the morning of the 3rd day after the storm to discuss navigation of the reef around Hollivaras and caught the youngster slinking out. Silvio emerged from his bedroom yawning, still in his nightshirt.
Is he flavor of the month?
Asked Gerard as the door closed behind the boy.
Mm-hmm.
Gerard frowned. Silvio opened his coat closet, a huge affair, intended to hold much more than coats. He went in and started to dress.
Did you have a point, or were you just making noise to hear yourself echo?
Gerard was lost for words.
He doesn't have a choice. Doesn't that bother you?
Silvio made an indignant huff.
Have you noticed I'm a foxling? You think he can't fend me off?
You're his admiral. He's got to be all of 14, Silvio.
Silvio stuck his head out of the closet abruptly.
And I was all of 6.
He spat. Gerard realized he'd inadvertently crossed a line. Silvio stalked out of the closet, glaring.
He's old enough to say yes, and I'm not hurting him. Besides, you seem to be suffering from your perennial illusion that I'm a nice person. I'm not. Now get over there and draw me some reef lines.
Gerard obeyed. Silvio still seemed miffed.
How old was Thessaline the first time you got lost on a walk? Oh, honorable one. How much choice do you think she had? You were her boss's eldest. You were her prince.
17. She was 17. But that was different. I actually cared about her. I gave up everything for her. I love Thess. She's my friend. I think to you, sex and friendship are mutually exclusive.
Silvio's ears flicked back.
Wyverns, preserve us,
he said, with as much sarcasm as he could cram into a sentence.
I'm all upside down and backwards. Poor Silvio. Are you volunteering to fix me, Gerard? No? Then shut up. I'm tired of this conversation.
Gerard mentioned the episode to Thessaline that night. She nodded.
I don't think sex means anything at all to Silvio.
Well, that's obvious.
Thessaline shook her head.
Not in the way you think. I mean that to him, sex is just the price he has to pay for, I'm not sure, comfort, security, reassurance. Silvio wants more than anything to feel safe, and he never feels safe, Gerard. I think the closest he comes is when he's with us.
That made Gerard laugh.
Yes, you see good in everyone, even when it's not there.
Not true. I just think it's never too late for anyone.
Doesn't it bother you that he's cruel to all kinds of shelts?
Cruelty always bothers me, Gerard. Pain always bothers me. I fix it whenever I can reach it.
He stroked her hair.
You're better at picking your battles than I am.
Comes of being blind and female.
That made him think of something else.
Thess, did you feel like you had a choice when you made love to me the first time? Or when you married me?
He could feel her frown against his neck.
Did I have a choice? I suppose it would be easier to answer that question if I hadn't been madly in love with you.
Her response didn't make Gerard feel any better. It occurred to him that Silvio and Thessaline had both grown up in the lower echelons of society, a place that was foreign to him. Thessaline broke into his thoughts.
Silvio doesn't think anyone has any real choices. Or not many, at least. He thinks maybe Shelts like you have a few choices, although he's skeptical.
But you don't think that, do you?
Persisted Gerard.
I mean, I didn't make you feel that way. Did I?
You make me feel alive.
Said Thessaline, hugging him tight.
You make me feel like I can fly, like I can see, like I can walk on water. Please don't be sorry for loving me, Gerard.
Chapter 24. Port Holovarts.
The so-called winged wolves of Asia Minor are not wolves, nor are they quadrupedavia, creatures with 4 legs and 2 wings. They are sometimes called blood bats, and this is perhaps more accurate, as they do live exclusively on blood. The creatures can grow nearly as tall as a Shelt's waist, and they have a long 5th toe, which folds upwards when they are running along the ground. A thick flap of skin connects this toe to a point near their hips, forming a wing. Although they prefer to glide for short distances, they are capable of true flight, via a double-jointed shoulder that allows them to lock the wing in place. They can speak, but have no Shelts as far back as history and their own legends record. They are shy and secretive, and usually live in large colonies in the cliffs of Asia Minor. Gawain, the non-Grishnards of Wefravain.
They arrived in Port Holovarus on the 4th morning after the storm. The little bay looked smaller than Gerard remembered it, the castle, just visible on the hilltop, grayer. He doubted that the port had ever seen a ship the size of the Fang. Peasants in their fishing boats stood to gawk as Farrell maneuvered in around the reef. Gerard knew almost all of them. He doubted that he could avoid being recognized, so he didn't try. They anchored well out from the shallow edges of the bay and waited. Several of the fishing boats came up cautiously to learn the identity of their visitor. It didn't take long for an official sloop to put off from the pier and come gliding over the water towards them. Gerard could feel a knot in his belly. He'd never wanted to come back here. He glanced at Silvio up on the quarterdeck.
This is a fine way to repay me for saving the ship.
The knot in his belly turned to ice when he saw the first Shelt over the side. Jaleel.
Gerard,
cried the other.
Come home at last, have you? With your tail between your legs, I hope.
Gerard said nothing. His hand was itching for his sword.
I hope you didn't bring that whore with you,
continued Jaleel. He was a little shorter than Gerard, with the same large dark eyes, but lighter hair. Silvio came strolling down from the quarterdeck at that moment, wearing his most dangerous smile.
I don't usually let Shelts call me that on my own ship. In fact, come to think of it, I use Shelts who call me that as fishing weights.
Gerard glanced at him. For Silvio to willingly own an insult intended for Thessaline made him feel absurdly grateful. Jaleel blanched.
Sir, I didn't mean... I meant...
You doubtless have us confused with another ship. As anxious as you may be for whores, we are not that kind of merchant. In fact, we're not a merchant at all. As any fool who didn't grow up in wyvern-forsaken backwater could see, this is the Fang of the Temple Sea Watch, and we are in need of supplies. Please go tell your harbor master that my quartermaster will wait upon him shortly, and if your king isn't a complete fool, he might think of inviting us to dinner. Now get off my ship.
Jaleel tried again to apologize, but Silvio had already turned and stalked away.
Is he still talking?
He said loudly to Farrell.
Someone go toss him overboard.
The official sloop departed in some haste, and Gerard watched them sail away. Silvio was grinning from ear to ear.
Your brother?
He asked Gerard.
My brother.
Charming. Did you see the color he turned when I came down on deck?
I saw,
said Gerard, who was beginning to realize that Silvio's purpose in coming here might not have been to torment him after all.
Is your father anything like you at all, Gerard?
Gerard thought for a moment.
He looks like me.
Alcere piped up behind him.
Yeah, but you're not a total bastard.
A good point,
said Silvio. It was all Gerard could do to keep from gaping.
You just said something to Alcere. You never say anything to Alcere. My father only thinks in terms of what's good for Holovaris. Usually that means cowries, but sometimes other things. Public relations, appearances.
Marriages.
Supplied Silvio. Gerard nodded.
Good enough. He'll invite us to dinner. He'll have to. It would look terrible otherwise.
Silvio walked off to his cabin, humming. Chapter 25. Shinies and Lord Holovar.
Zeds are zebrashelts, and evidence suggests that they are not long-time residents of Wefervain at all, but were imported from the lawless lands for hunting on Mesia Minor. They have some traits in common with the Hunti, including a female-dominated warrior culture. Of all the creatures living on Mesia Minor, the Zeds seem to embrace their predicament most readily. They regard themselves as hunters of Grishnards, rather than game animals. Gwaine, the non-Grishnards of Wefervain.
Silvio reappeared half a watch later, dressed in his Zed-skin pants and frilly white silk shirt. He wore a red felt hat with a monstrous canary yellow plume, a Pegasus skin cape of brilliant purple and gold feathers, and his bright yellow boots. He had 3 earrings in one ear and 5 in the other, in a variety of shapes and colors. He'd braided tiny gold bells on golden thread into his tail and recoaled his eyes so that the pale blue irises flashed in the fading light. Gerard stared at him. Silvio grinned back.
Do I look like a more expensive version of something from the pleasure districts of CERN?
I wouldn't have said it that way.
No, of course you wouldn't. You would have just grimaced and given me that look.
What look?
But Silvio only sniffed and flipped his tail. Thessaline had come cautiously up on deck to stand in the late afternoon sunlight.
Let me see.
Silvio let her fingers dance over his attire. Thessaline giggled when she got to the earrings.
Silvio, this is a lot even for you.
I know. I jingle every time I turn my head.
He demonstrated.
And you didn't see my tail. Listen.
He waved it, and the bells sang merrily.
Are you trying to annoy Lord Holovar?
The lady is brilliant. I am trying to be completely shocking and offensive.
I think you'll succeed.
Are you coming with us, Thess?
Thessaline hesitated.
I'd rather not, unless you really want me to.
Silvio shook his head, earrings tinkling.
No, stay here. I will order something edible brought to your cabin, and someone to read to you while you eat it. Or you can play and sing, whatever suits you. You don't have to touch this island if you don't want to.
Alcere wanted to come, but Gerard shook his head.
Father will regard you as a weapon. I might as well walk in there with a drawn sword.
I am a weapon. Weapons keep you safe.
Not when they're seen as a threat. You'll only end up in a fight with some of the other house griffins. There are lots of them and only one of you. Please honor what I told you earlier.
A quarter watch later, a lantern-lit boat pulled out from the pier and glided towards them. Farrell and his 10 captains were all dressed in quieter clothes, ready for a formal dinner.
I'll tell you something else about shinies,
said Silvio to Gerard while they waited.
I'm not just invisible when I'm not wearing them. I'm invisible even when I am.
Gerard thought about that.
I poisoned a Shelt one time while he was looking right at me. I was wearing these earrings, in fact, and he just couldn't get his eyes off them. I reached over and dumped Felbane in his glass, and he didn't even notice.
You're not planning on poisoning my father?
Asked Gerard in some alarm.
Probably not. What's his name, anyway?
Michel, but no one ever calls him that.
He saw Silvio's grin and shook his head.
He has a temper, Silvio. Be careful.
Does he have a wife?
Not unless a lot has changed. Mother died when we were young, and he never remarried.
Something in Gerard's voice must have betrayed him, because Silvio turned to look at him. There was a long pause, and then Silvio thumped his bells against the side of the ship.
Very occasionally I am slow, but I do catch on in the end.
You're never slow. You are annoyingly not slow.
He wanted this, didn't he?
Gerard said nothing.
Yes, yes. No wonder he paid for her schooling. Pretty, talented girl. He probably thought he'd bought her.
Gerard scowled. He drew a deep breath.
Most minstrels are sons or daughters of great houses, and they marry well. Females of humble birth are in a tough position and often end up as court mistresses to some great lord.
Silvio shrugged.
One could do worse than Lord Holivar.
Gerard looked up at the night sky.
I loved her and he didn't. But you really don't know what that means, do you? One day I remember we were walking on the beach. He and Jaleel and I and several of his counselors. Tess had come and she was trailing behind, feeling with her paws for shells, the way she likes to do. She was wearing an expensive gown and it would trail in the sand every time she bent over to pick one up. My father saw her, told her to stop. The gown was too expensive to be doing that. She protested and he hit her. Casually across the face, the way you might slap a dumb animal that was misbehaving. She looked so surprised, so lost, so hurt.
Silvio's eyes had narrowed to slits. Gerard couldn't tell what he was thinking. Finally, he said,
Did he ever hit you?
Gerard was taken a little off guard.
Sometimes, not often, and never to wound. He would never have married Tess. That might have confused the secession. He would have cared for her children, of course, and for some girls that would have been enough, but Tess, symbols mean a lot to her, and being hit.
I know all about being hit,
snapped Silvio. He said nothing else for the rest of the ride to the pier. You have been listening to The Guild of the Cowry Catchers by Abigail Hilton. Copyright Abigail Hilton. Cowry Catchers is an illustrated podcast. Artwork for this episode was created by Sarah Cloutier. To view these illustrations, and to learn more about this world and its author, visit the website at www.cowrycatchers.com. This podcast included the vocal talents of
Nathan Lowell
as Gerard, Kimmy Alexander as Thessalin,
Norm Sherman
as Silvio,
Chris Lester
as Gwaine,
Ryan Stevenson
as Alsair,
Big Anklovich
as Jaleel. Sound effects for this podcast were generously provided by SoundSnap and the Free Sound Project. The intro music for this podcast was Grace by Beth Quist. The outro music is Moonlight Flowers by Amoeba, both licensed with permission from Magnatune.net. This episode also included music by Diana Rowan from Magnatune.net, Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com, and Jamie Saber from Magnatune.net. All music was licensed with permission.
This is a standard copyright now. This podcast is provided for your personal enjoyment only. You can download and archive the episodes for your personal use. You may not re-upload, mirror, or publicly redistribute the audio files, nor can you alter, remix, or create derivative works.
Hi, this is 2025 Abby, back again for some just very brief comments on this one. If you do hear bumping in the background, that is my cat Newt playing with his food toy. I've waited for a while for him to get done playing with it, and that doesn't seem to be happening. Oh, there he goes again. So, Liz Mirziewski was a voice actor who was involved in quite a few podcasts at this time. She introduced this one, and I had completely forgotten about her and her projects, but she was involved in all kinds of things at that time. Liz, if you're still around, feel free to chime in, or it's possible that I've been talking to you recently under a different screen name, and I don't know who I'm talking to. This happens all the time, where I meet people under multiple different screen names, and then I meet someone in person and discover that they are actually, I thought there were 5 people, but they're 1 person or something. Anyway, it looks like Rosengarden Media is still in existence.
So you could check out Liz's stuff there. Also, I thought it was funny. Silvio's voice actor, Norm Sherman, has a hugely popular podcast called The Drabblecast. I've mentioned that before. There was an episode of Drabblecast, and a pretty early one, where he made up this ridiculous song called Give Us All Some Jelly. And it was part of a short story. I cannot remember if I think the lyrics were part of the short story that the author of the short story had written, and then he gave it like a tune and sang it as part of the production of this particular little short story. Anyway, that is what he is humming. That is what Silvio hums at the end of talking to Jaleel. I don't have a lot to say about this section. I did enjoy re-listening to it. There's, I think, some obvious commentary going on about consent and the things that we take for granted that might not be okay, and things that we immediately understand are not appropriate, the things we may just make assumptions about. But I'm going to just let the text speak for itself there. I did want to say I enjoy the trope of bad guys fighting bad guys, for lack of a better word. My books contain a lot of shades of gray characters. They contain very few characters that are absolutely black and white. There are a few, but there's a lot of shades of gray characters, and I would characterize ultimately both Silvio and Gerard's family as those kinds of morally ambiguous characters. Anyway, I love setting up situations where these different factions who aren't bounded by as many rules as a true good guy are set against each other. And you kind of get to fight fire with fire, because neither of these two groups are particularly bothered by fighting dirty. This comes up fairly often, I think, in my stories. Anyway, I don't have a lot to add on this one. I will see you again in the next episode for some more commentary about what's going to happen next. This is Abigail Hilton, and you have been listening to the Pirates of Wefravain saga. Join me on Patreon for early episodes, long-form interviews, forum access, personal updates, and lots of artwork, including maps and species charts. That's patreon.com/Abigail Hilton. If you want the whole story now with no interruptions and some remastering of the early books for sound quality, you can find the entire series at shop.abigailhilton.com, along with all my other novels. The audiobooks are delivered by BookFunnel. Background music was Hidden Sky by Jamie Sieber, licensed from Magnatune.net circa 2014. The Guild of the Cowry Catchers podcast is an audio adaptation of the Pirates of Wefravain saga, written and produced by Abigail Hilton. Original production copyright 2010. All rights are reserved to the author.